As new generations emerge and go through schooling on the way to adulthood, there's always a unique set of challenges and issues that each generation have to deal with. Some of these issues are brought about by a number of contemporary influencing factors that can be found within society's faster pace of life, while other issues have always been there yet have failed to be properly addressed until now. You are listening to the Mid Morning Talk on Salam Media with me, Maryam Mkwanda, and on today's segment with the Islamic Care Line, we are talking about the challenges that young people face while navigating their way to adulthood. And to tell us more is Islamic Care Line social worker, Shuhaida Adam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Shuhaida. Shukran for joining me.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
All right, so I'm just going to get right into it. We have faced challenges as teens, preteens, and late teens as well. Now, what challenges are young people of today facing?
Okay, so like you quite correctly said also there's so much around the challenges that people face that very specific to the time period that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at this point, we're looking at a lot of what are the influences. So what influences young people? What shapes their world? Basically, what shapes their world? Who are the people who also shape their world? One of
Mm-hmm.
the key things we realize also is social media has a great role to play in terms of all aspects of that adolescent development. Um, if you look at social media, our young people are consuming from the ideas on how to dress, ideas on what's happening in the world around them, ideas on how to train themselves, ideas on how to conduct relationships, ideas on how to handle friendships, how to manage a school. All areas of development are happening online. One of the strongest areas of influence. So Islamic Care, and we really want to utilize that in a positive way also. So we are hosting a webinar for adolescents to also just capture them while they are online and to rather just utilize it for something more positive, something that can be of benefit to them. Because if we look at social media, for example, right, a lot of what we are getting and a lot of what young people are getting, it's not exactly conducive to their development. So a lot of the messages, a lot of the advices, a lot of the guides, even sort of the life hacks, that kind of a thing, the relationship hacks, a lot of what they're getting, it's actually, it's quite harmful and it's bringing about a greater new set of challenges for parents who are very much in the dark about where the adolescents are getting their mental stimulation, where they're getting their social skills from. And there's no real way to trace it also because the social media is so vast that as a parent, it's very hard to also keep up with just what your child is consuming at this point. So there's a great amount of influence currently with social media. And like I said earlier, we just want to use this as a tool to help adolescents, give them an interactive space to explore the challenges and learning and helping them adjust then to young adulthood.
Mm-hmm. Now, as a parent to a teenager, you don't want to give them, too much freedom to go out there and be doing whatever it is that they're doing. But you also don't want to police them too much and put so much red tape around whatever they're doing because at the end of the day, they're going to rebel and they're going to go ahead and do everything that you told them not to. And like you mentioned, the times are changing. We had social media in our times, but it wasn't as vast as it is in today's times. Social media didn't form too much of an influence in the way we were raised and we do things. It's just a matter of chatting and getting to know one another, or getting to do homework on the sides instead of having to meet personally, etc. Now, obviously, that has changed in today's times. Social media has now become, this global village. It is, people get bullied through social media. People have committed suicide because of things like social media. Now, what can parents and caregivers do to help with the challenges and that transition from, adolescence to late teenagers into young adulthood.
Okay. So like you rightly said also, adolescence time is not a time to police your child. But there needs to be limits, there needs to be boundaries. Especially for young people, this is the time when they are developing their sense of the world around them, right? And this is a world of boundaries. When we interact with people, we need boundaries to regulate our interactions as adults. And adolescence is the period to learn that. So parents need to continue keeping boundaries. However, let's take a step back though, and let's look at what is actually normal for adolescents at this point. So as a parent, I would recommend that you start looking at learning a bit about adolescent development. So we know it's a period of change, right? Everything is just changing for this young person. And for some of them, the change is quite rapid. And for others, it's happening at a lot more slower pace. So as a parent, I would recommend that you would look at, okay, what are the physical changes that's going to be happening? And how does that actually impact on your child's behavior? So even things like growth first, that of course is happening to an adolescent, but that means that your child may have a greater appetite, your child may be sleeping more because of the growth spurt. They may have body pain, so they're not always able to be as functional because they are experiencing real pain. Oftentimes parents, they do think that growth spurts and growing pains are actually phantom pains. But educate yourself that this is a bit real. So awareness is one of the key things to help us adjust and to accept the changes that's happening, and we can then work around what are these changes happening and how it impacts on the family. So look out for physical changes and then emotional changes. We covered this in our webinar also, but we're going to cover this directly with the young person. But just for parents to know, we cover things under emotional change. Know that your young person is now increasing the range of emotions. So if you think of a child, they experience very basic emotions. And as a child grows older, then their emotions start developing a bit more. They experience a little bit more complicated emotions. Now, as an adolescent, their range is increasing even more. Their, 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 their range of feeling, the capacity to feel, it goes quite deep. That's why you may find that your adolescent gets really upset over something where they previously have not gotten upset about. Okay, so recognize the range of emotions are also changing. Mentally, young people we also want to develop their sense of responsibility. We want them to develop a sense of accountability for their choices, to take responsibility for consequences of their behaviors also. So as a parent, you would want to then put mechanisms in place which allows them to start making choices about matters that impact on them. For example, if they need to, if they have a school assignment and they need to go and buy items, give them some choices around it. Where do they want to go and get the items? How do they want to do this? Certain choices around that, right? So you want to start developing this independent thinking, but at the same time, you don't want to give them too much responsibility and phase yourself out as a parent. So I spoke a little bit about limits earlier. There always needs to be some form of limits and boundaries. So when you're giving your adolescent you're giving them room to make the choices and recognize that your adolescent will make mistakes. As much as it's a time of change, it's also a time of them making mistakes. They will mess up. They're going to misread a situation. They're going to overreact in certain things. Recognize that they will make that mistake. So give them the room also to make mistakes and then to resolve those mistakes. So that is also part of how we develop a sense of responsibility and accountability in our young people. So giving them the opportunity also of extra responsibility, if there are other siblings in the home, if there's other household responsibilities, allowing them to take that on. Recognize also that socially, things are also changing for them. The old friends, they may not be interested in being friends with the previous group of friends that they used to be friends with. They may start having different interests. The interest might change year by year. If your child is 14 and they be interested in a certain hobby, by the time they're 15, it changes, 16, it changes, 17, it changes. To recognize also that change is also very normal. So once you know what is normal, once you recognize also that this is just part of growing up, certain behaviors are to be expected, Being you as a parent, there's a lot more confidence in navigating adolescence with your child. We find that as parents grow their confidence, they're able to stay a lot more in control of their emotions. So if your adolescent is overreacting, is having an extreme emotional response, if you as the parent are also engaging in a very emotional response as well, oftentimes it doesn't end very well. Both people end up strained, and you'll find then that your adolescent might become a bit more withdrawn from you, and you as a parent might become withdrawn from your child. You start feeling that I don't know this child, I can't connect with my child anymore. They're growing away from me. So if we find that parents are able to stay a bit more controlled and in control of the situation and in control of the emotions, the confidence helps them stay connected with their child also. And you start learning to recognize the power struggles that adolescents might also engage in. So it's
Mm-hmm.
as much as it's a time for change, also a time of exploration for young people. And they push boundaries. They're going to be questioning and asking, why do I have to do this? And why is this rule in place? And why do I have to do things that you said I must do? I don't want to do things like this. Okay, so you're going to be challenged quite a bit as a parent. But if you're holding on to your confidence and you're holding on to your exposure, you will start recognizing the power struggle, and you will then be able to avoid the power struggle, not getting caught in it. Um, Once you get caught in a power struggle, it's very easy to stay in a power struggle with your young person. So we encourage parents also to be very aware of just what to expect in terms of
Mm-hmm.
boundary pushing also. So even in terms like curfew, people will want to push the time. Why do you have to come back so early? They're pointing to that who their friends are staying out much later, etc., etc. So once you as a parent are very aware of this, you can then even develop strategies with your co-parents of how to navigate adolescence with your child.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, talk to us about the teenage adjustment webinar. When will it be taking place, and who can participate?
Okay, so it's for young adolescents. Unfortunately, it's not for parents. We only extend to adolescents. And we promise that it's going to also try and bring about some calmness to the chaos that's happening. We want to help young people adapt to the change that they're going through. As hard as it is for parents, it's also quite hard for young people because there's so much change and they're not necessarily keeping up with it. Um, so we want to just bring a little bit of calmness to the chaos, helping them navigate to become young adults. We also want to normalize what adolescence is for young people, because oftentimes these changes and it's happening, and young people often feel that what they're doing is wrong, how they're feeling is wrong, they shouldn't be feeling this way, or they get the feedback from the parents that they have been disobedient, or they are misbehaving, or they're having very negative thoughts. And we want to normalize adolescence for them. Then we want to help them in terms of understanding what is their identity, because it's so critical to know who you are to then move forward in life. So we want to help them with a little bit of identity development also, then examining the individual challenges. So it's meant to be quite interactive. The young people can share their specific challenges that they have, a little bit of feedback from our counselor. Our counselor is doing it, she's a registered counselor also. So she'll be also assisting them with some of the challenges that they present. And then we want to take away the aspect of being overwhelmed and the aspect of having an identity crisis. We want to help them develop and invent themselves according to what suits them. Okay. Oftentimes, young people are forced into a certain behavior. They're forced to adopt a certain identity, a certain role, and they find that it's not a fit for them. So they're constantly trying to fight against that which they feel is not a fit for them. And that's also when you find that rebelliousness, you find that the non-cooperation in families, because young people, they just don't commit with what is being presented to them. So we want to navigate these ways to help them understand these strengths, areas that they want to build on, so that they can make it into their identity. Of course, adolescence is a period of developing identity. So it's not going to be something that, once we're done with the series of webinars, that it's going to be set. We also prepare them that identity changes through the years. So they need to be open to that. They need to just realize that that's normal. and then pursue avenues that are of interest to you, so that you can do what is of interest to you. You can become the kind of person. You can become the kind of person that you are interested in, if that makes sense. So young
Mm-hmm.
people are buying into who they are, and that it develops a sense of authenticity, and that's something so key and critical to adulthood. So we want to just start building the blocks, building the foundation at this point.
Mm-hmm. All right, Shuhaida. Now, I heard you mentioning that it's not for parents, and I'm wondering why can parents not attend? Now, please tell me that there will be one for parents as well.
Hopefully, if people can reach out to us and if we can pick up if we can pick up a lot of interest from parents, if there's a good request, then we can develop one for parents. The reason also why we don't want to put parents and adolescents in the same group is it needs to be a safe space for young people to
Mm-hmm.
feel free that they can share. Oftentimes, if your parents is in the same room, then a younger person, they are a little bit more reluctant to share openly about their challenges and what they struggle with. So we want it to be a safe space for the young person. But parents, your space is coming. Don't worry. We are looking at parenting groups, so we definitely will be presenting it. And when we have the details finalized, then we'll come to Sonia's show and we will present the details then.
Mm-hmm. All right. We will wait as parents. Okay, I'm not a parent to a teenager yet. Well, she's got a long way to go. But for those parents who want to know more, I guess they should just keep a close look on the Islamic Careline's website and socials.
Yeah, definitely check us on Instagram and Twitter and our Facebook pages for the most updated and events that's happening.
Right, Shahida, shukran so much for your time and for chatting to us. I'd like to know more about, we'll catch up once the webinar is done and you'll give us some feedback on that and, basically how it was received by the teenagers, etc., and if you have achieved what you had hoped for.
For sure. No, we will. Inshallah, we will. People are welcome to also just call us on 01137388080 or 078 727 1334 just to RSVP, and then they can get the link once they've made payment.
All right, shukran so much and have a wonderful day.
Okay, likewise. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Islamic Airlines social worker Shuhaida Adam taking us through challenges that young people face as they navigate their way through adulthood and the upcoming teenage adjustment webinar, which will be taking place very soon. If you'd like to know more information, um, you can call Islamic Care Line on 011 373 8080. You can also just Google Islamic Care Line and you'll find them and all the information that you might need, addresses, socials, etc. It is at 12:30. You are listening to the Mid Morning Talk on Salam Media.